Between the two of them. The inside of Coates. Parker gets too heavily involved. And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Hello everybody and welcome to the VRRC for the Formula 4 Academy Race Series. I'm Ed May and joining me in the commentary box is the wonderful Dave Marshall for what is set to be an exciting 5th round of the championship here at Thruxton. What an excellent circuit this is. One of the circuits where you need to be very, very brave, very committed, and of course there aren't many circuits like this one, Dave, and this is going to bring some really unique racing to us here this evening.
Yeah, exactly right. I think it's probably, I don't know the exact percentage, but I'd like to guess probably 80% of the track is full throttle. So it's definitely one of the main reasons why it's one of the fastest tracks on the circuit.
Absolutely, one of the fastest tracks in the UK and also in Europe as well. You can see here the Formula 4 schedule. Thruxton here, the second to last round of the championship before we go to Lincolnshire into the lovely rolling hills of Cadwell Park to round out what has been a very exciting academy season already. You can see that we've already had the MX-5. We're currently using the Formula 4, and then next season we're going to have to look forward to the Audi TT Cup with the all-important push to pass. And that is looming ever closer, so the drivers might be starting to shift their focus to that, depending on where they are in the championship standings, where their season is going. And then, of course, the Caterham 420R will round out this 4-discipline series. You can see as well who was the best driver last time out at Snetterton. Well, you can see Taylor Flanagan took top honours there after some very great performances, and also a race in which he snatched his first victory in that first race of the day. Brad Smith coming through for a second place of the night, but also snatching driver of the round. A very hard fought and well earned driver of the round performance as well, with championship leader and last season's champion Simon Reed down in third place, trying to cement himself as the top dog after Snetterton. And just to cement that point even further, here are the championship standings. Simon Reed, they're nearly 30 points clear ahead of Taylor Flanagan, such is his margin to the rest, with Brad Smith down in third, 105 points to his name, only 5 points back. Then we come to Kenny Press in fourth, so he's having a good turn of pace. Then 7 points down to Sam Milner. And of course, Mick Sutton, Luke Weston, Akil Alibai, Simon Thorpe and James McGill. Good to see actually that Luke Weston is back with us this evening, missing the last couple of rounds, but back out here at Thruxton. And now the prizes as well. What all the drivers are racing and fighting for. First prize, AOC gaming headphones and 2 hours online coaching. Second place gets you PowerMax car valeting and 1 hour of one-to-one online coaching. Third, you get 2 hours of coaching, split between 1 hour of car setup coaching and 1 hour of one-to-one driver coaching. And with that, I think, Dave, we will be able to see the cars. Are they coming out on the track now for qualifying? I believe they are. So let us go to a lap of this Thruxton circuit done earlier by Dave Marshall.
And we've just come out of the club complex there, down towards turn 1 in the F4 here at Thruxton. Completely flat through turn 1, not even thinking about a lift. Head towards Campbell. Very, very difficult right-hander. Trying to get the brake as late as you can. Make sure you get off that braking seat and allow the rotation through. Carrying some serious speed through the complex there. Into 4th gear, just through the right-hander there at Seagrave. Now down towards Noble. From this point on, we're not even thinking about lifting all the way until we get to the last complex. So completely flat through the left-hander, through the right here with Goodwood. It's just trying to spot that inside line, spot that curve's apex, and then make sure we don't run too far wide there on the left-hand side. Still try to make the circuit as short as possible without scrubbing that speed off. Now through the infamous Church, probably one of the easiest cars to take that corner flying here, completely flat and sick, but there is more left in that gear, so slipstream's going to play a huge part where you maybe get them extra 3 or 4 mile an hour out the car, set you for a brilliant overtake into the final complex here at Club. See you get thrown a little bit by the curve there, but just about legal, and then across the line for the final lap. Make sure you tune in for 4:7 on Monday.
So that was a brilliant hot lap from Dave Marshall, showing how to navigate this very technical and demanding Thruxton circuit. And you touched on a few things there, Dave, but what would your advice be to the drivers that are currently qualifying now? How can they get the most out of a lap here?
I really think it's important to really calculate where the driver in front is going to be and whereabouts on the track they're going to be at that time. So it's going to be really, really hard, especially at the start of the race for me, to really calculate when's the time to go for the move, because the slipstream effect is that high in these cars. You know, by the time we get through Church and towards the last complex, through this section here that we're on with Luke Weston, you know, you think that's the time when the slipstream is going to be really useful going towards the last complex, but it's actually not. It's 2 or 3 corners back from that, and you can really open up that run and get a good 5 mile an hour faster than the driver in front, and that'll give you that really good overlap speed to get the inside line in the next corner. So patience is probably one of the biggest things, Ed, and just calculate when to make your move, and sometimes just commit to mean only maybe 3/4 on the throttle in certain places to allow you that when you do get on the run, you can get the pass done. You don't want to be catching up that car in front too quickly.
Yeah, so obviously patience, like you mentioned, very, very important here. Nice and disciplined. Who has been the fastest driver so far? Though we can see Mick Sutton topping the standings at the moment with a 1 minute 13.9. But the drivers, they are using that slipstream to try and get the advantage. And how much would you say over the course of a lap time is that slipstream going to save you?
That's a really hard one to say in this scenario here. So you can see Akila's leading Kenny Press here. Kenny Press is about that magic 4 car lengths back. So if Kenny's in that slipstream now on full throttle, he can maybe use a bit of that, and he maybe gets 2 to 3 tenths on that lap. But actually, as you can see, I think unfortunately Kenny's just dropped a little bit off the back of that. And Rich Hayden currently going top with a 13.866. So Rich Hayden at the moment doing a very, very good job in qualifying. Mick Sutton will be probably looking at that thinking, wasn't quite enough, because I bet he was probably thinking that was a fair, decent lap. Akil looking actually pinpoint accurate through that last chicane. So I'd imagine Akil is probably going to put a very good lap in as well. It is indeed a 1:13.989 there. So actually 3 drivers within a tenth of a second there. We were expecting to see this from Thruxton, and it's what I was saying, where, you know, it's all about qualifying's going to get you track position, but it's going to be all about your racecraft, using that slipstream, and also the speed. You know, the rate in which these cars can change direction because of the downforce, and the average speed is so high on this track. It's quite easy to get caught out not being able to see who's exactly alongside.
Yeah, we'll hope that the drivers will get through all of the racing action nice and cleanly. Just noticed as well, actually, on that last time by, I think it was Sam Milner who made a bit of a mistake going through the final chicane there, getting all sorts of out of shape and into the wall, but I think he'll be into the pits and back out again now. We're going to find out what he can manage for this last moment of, well, not the last moment, there's still 8 minutes to go. So plenty of time for the likes of Mick Sutton, Akil Alibai, who's looked very good in practice, I must say. Luke Weston as well on his return back to the academy, doing very well as Taylor Flanagan loops the car a little bit, maybe taking a bit too much speed in braking while turning. The cars are very, very eager to break traction like that, aren't they, Dave?
Yeah, they are indeed. So the drivers can adjust a lot of things actually in this car, but things like suspension is the main thing that is fixed. So as long as it's adjustable things in the cockpit, so e.g. like traction control, ABS, brake bias, and your brake power, all them are adjustable. So I think that was maybe just Taylor running that brake bias a little bit too far back, used a bit too much brake on entry of that chicane, and it's just overloaded the back end of that car and just got it to start and rotate. So unlucky for Taylor, but it's all about trying to find that balance, because you do want the car to actually rotate somewhat, because obviously if it's too far forward, it's just going to push the front end on.
Yeah, so we're going to be seeing the drivers trying to use the car to the best of their ability. No one really challenging or looking like they're going to be on a fast lap. Taylor Flanagan has done a personal best coming through the middle sector, so he might be able to make an improvement as well. What on earth was going on there? Brad Smith and a collision. I think was that with Sam Milner. It was. I don't think there was any need for them to be fighting that hard, being as they're in qualifying.
Yeah, so this I think is maybe just a little bit of lack of not commitment, a bit of lack of knowledge, should I say, just regarding tyre to tyre contact on these open wheel cars. You got to remember, in something like a Mini or a touring car, that side to side collision, you've got a nice big panel, a nice door there, where you can rest on the car next to you a little bit reasonably without actually anything really happening. This is wheel to wheel, and it doesn't take much for that front wheel to just flick up a little bit, lose a bit of traction. So that looked quite dramatic, but honestly, there was nothing that was meant to happen there. That was just the slightest of touches wheel to wheel. So that's what I'm saying. You've got to be so careful on a track, especially with the average speeds this high, not to have any sort of collisions like that, because it can be either driver that comes off worse in that scenario.
Yeah, and obviously you don't want to have situations like that in the race. Qualifying isn't too bad because you don't really lose that too much. You just lose the lap that you're on, and then you can just have another attempt, another crack at it. 5.5 minutes to go to see if anyone can dethrone Rich Hayden in this qualifying session, but Rich has put a pretty good effort in to stay fastest so far that not many people have been able to match. Seeing Brad Smith is doing a personal best through the first sector. Sam Milner actually with the very quick first sector as well. Simon Reed, no personal best coming through for him, so I'm not sure if this is going to be improvement unless he gets a really good run through the final chicane here in a desperate attempt to get up the order. It is obviously where you can make or break your lap time, isn't it, Dave?
Yes, just looking at the sector times, it appears that Simon Reed's about on it in the second sector there. It's the first sector. Simon Reed just doesn't seem to be quite grasping. He's about four tenths off of the ultimate sort of pace through the sector one. So, this is where a driver should go back to the pits, have a look at the sector time, and just go, right, where is it that I'm losing that time? And then that's where you then know how hard to push it around the lap. There's no point as a driver trying to get frustrated gaining time in places on the track where you're already lapping sufficiently fast. It's trying to find out them weak areas of the track and start to try and find the pace in them key places.
And that could have been a good lap from Akil Alibai. He had a purple in the middle sector, but crashes into the wall. Big damage there that he's had to come in and get fixed. So that is qualifying. Maybe not over for Akil, but definitely scuppered. Luke Weston coming through. What are we going to be seeing here from Luke? Any meaningful sorts of improvement? He is currently fourth, but will he improve any higher? No, he doesn't. Stays for the moment. That lap time not fast enough to realistically challenge those top times. No one's really been able to improve at all since the beginning of qualifying, have they, Dave? Is this maybe just the drivers have put in the first lap and are now chasing the time a bit too hard and making mistakes?
It could be exactly that, It could be a little bit.
As Rich goes even faster, I think.
Tell you me, so I was just about to say track temp will be going up a little bit, but yeah, it's probably a case of just drivers have got already the lap time on the board that they sort of need to get on there as a good banker lap, but then now they're probably just pushing that a little bit too hard. This is where you realistically need you've got your lap in, turn that delta lap time off and just drive however hard you think you can, which actually at the moment Rich Hayden's just gone green again in sector one, so Rich is really the person on the move at the moment.
A very, very scary pace being shown by Rich Hayden. But of course, here at this Thruxton circuit, qualifying isn't everything. The slipstream is so strong that realistically, from anywhere on the grid, you could be a real contender as long as you use the draft effectively and cleverly as well. That's the key point of being smart with how you race here. So what can Rich Hayden do just to throw down a marker and show that he's the driver to beat this evening? Quite nice on the turn in there. Does he get a bit out of shape? No, he doesn't over the bump. So as he comes across the line, what will this be from Rich Hayden? Oh, and it is still a good lap time. It still would have been enough for pole position had his previous lap not been there. The fact that I think he's actually second fastest time of the session so far. But Rich Hayden, I think, is the only driver to have put 3 lap times underneath the 1:14 barrier.
Yeah, so it's clear to me that Rich is just really finding this car nice and easy to hook up round here in Thruxton, super consistent as well. You saw his line through that last chicane, super controlled, super tight, and as little steering input as possible there. That is one of the biggest keys. First of all, with keeping momentum in this car, but also keeping the car nice and stable through that last chicane. You can see he used quite a lot of curb on the left, but not that we're going to see it in slow motion, but that is completely legal. That curb runs all the way to the inside of the yellow sausage curb, so even if the car's right wheels go inside of them big yellow sausage curbs on the left-hander, the lap is still legal, so you can use quite a lot of that entry. You see the different line approach there, so I believe is that Simon Reed at the moment in front of Rich Hayden. I'm trying to tell now. I think it probably is actually. As we get yeah, it is. Sorry, Simon Reed. Yeah. So as we got Simon, look at the car. I couldn't quite tell there. So Simon Reed in front you saw was a lot shallower in towards that corner, and I think that just meant he couldn't be quite as committed on the brakes there, whereas Rich was a lot wider on entry, but it allows him to get onto them brakes harder and later. Oh, but it's moments like that you do not want that in the race. Rich going slightly wide there, almost bottoming out the car there on that drop away in the track, and you know he didn't have any reaction time there really to save that going out of the wall.
Yeah, so Mick Sutton not going to improve this time, but he has one final attempt to lay down a marker. We're going to stay on board for him through this first sector now just to see what his line's like, because this is so important for the rest of the lap. Coming up to now the right-hander, where if you get it right, you can be flat out for the rest, but I don't think that is quite as clean as Mick Sutton would have been hoping for. So he's going to be struggling, I think, for the rest to make an improvement, and that is a final nail in the coffin. He's not able to improve as he stays, unfortunately, third fastest. The Akil Alibai, was that right at the end there where Akil was able to go second fastest? It was, you know, so that was a great attempt by Akil to put himself on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, so that was a great lap time just to secure himself there. Mick Sutton now dropping back down to third. The pressure is on this lap alone for Mick Sutton. Can he put the lap together to possibly
But he's already had a mistake, so I don't think he's going to be able to...
In fact, you're right indeed. I just saw there sector 1 at 24.9, which is give or take about 7/10 of where he needs to be. So unfortunately, Mick is going to be third at best. Let's see whether Luke Weston can do any better. I believe Luke Weston's not going any better.
Brad Smith could improve.
Brad Smith is on a good run. Let's see if he can hook together the last of the set. Let's jump on board with him and let's witness him through this last chicane here. So you can see down to third gear. I wouldn't say he went in that aggressive there on the brakes, but you can see gambled across the inside there of them yellow sausage curbs. The car bounced and found its way over the wall. The bump on these cars, once you get that initial pendulum effect, that's sort of your day done as soon as you hit that wall. So it is a gamble, but as you can see, the lap time provides it is really good on lap time. So it's awkward. It's a bit of a balanced scenario, and I can't imagine that many drivers would be using that in the race.
Yeah, of course. It's a lot easier to make those risks in qualifying, but in the race, that's where the points are really scored. So they might be finding a different approach from each of them. We do now have, though, Rich Hayden in the commentary box to have a chat with Dave Marshall.
Yeah, well, I think he's probably as surprised as anyone with the lap time there, but I've got to admit, super committed through the last chicane, super smooth, and a very, very impressive lap time there.
Surprised as anyone. Thanks very much.
You might only say that because I saw your face.
No, it was okay. That, yeah. I'm pretty sure I was legal in the last chicane as well. Obviously, having talked to everybody about it, but it's one of those chicanes where if you get it right, you just gain time. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that.
And I've got to quickly ask as well, was it one of them laps where you were give or take on your delta at the start of the lap and then you sort of gambled with the chance of pushing it through the last chicane because you already had that solid lap in there? Or was it a case of you were actually down and then gambled on it even further?
No, I was actually I was slightly up, but then I got a tow all the way around the back, which helped out massively. And I was actually slower through the chicane than I had been previously, but because my delta was up, I from getting that tow. So yeah, the tow is to blame for a little bit of that.
And then regarding race strategy, I take it, tow, is obviously going to be a huge part of this race, especially in lap one, is the key to sort of try and get the pack to back up a little bit and then you to get that breakaway, because Keel's going to be fair hot on your heels.
Yeah, I'm going to get mobbed. I am hoping that I get a clean first complex and there's a bit of squabbling behind me and I can gap. As long as I can gap, then there's a good chance that if I keep it clean, I should be okay. But it's, if there's no gap, then we're just going to be swapping places with the tow down here, aren't we?
Well, looking forward to seeing how you get on there, Rich, and
Thanks,
good luck going forward into race one.
Thanks, mate.
So that was Dave Marshall having a great little chat there with pole position starter Rich Hayden. But before we get into all of the action to come here at Thruxton, we're going to go for a short ad break, but stay tuned to VRRC. Welcome back, everybody, to VRRC. A minute now until the green lights go and we are racing. This is set up to be a cracking race, though, with Rich Hayden pole position, ahead of Akil Alibai in second on that front row. Mick Sutton in third. Don't count him out. He's going to be really charging up there to try and make the most of his grid position, with Luke Weston now in fourth, ahead of Brad Smith, Sam Milner, with Simon Reed, Taylor Flanagan, Kenny Press, Simon Thorpe, rounding out the 10 cars on the grid. This is going to be a cracker, isn't it, Dave? I'm really looking forward to this. I'm excited to see what Mick Sutton can do, of course, from third on the grid. Would have been starting second had it not been, though, for Akil's amazing efforts in qualifying.
Yeah, definitely that, as we see the lights are already ready to come on. I cannot wait either. Ed, I'll let you take over for the start of this race.
Yeah, the lights are on. They will go out now, and the racing does begin. And it's a good start from Rich Hayden. Mick Sutton's going to try and catch out Akil Alibai on the start. Going into the first corner. They will be side by side in the background for second place. Look at this. Oh, there's a big spin there. Brad Smith, massive moment. Oh my words, that could be a safety car being called, because that was a very, very big incident. They're side by side, though, as the safety car's called. I think Akil just about has his nose in front, and yes, At the time the safety car was called, Akil was just marginally ahead. So Mick Sutton will have to slot in behind. But that was, well, a very explosive start to the race, wasn't it? We were maybe thinking that it'd take maybe a few more cars before the fireworks were up and erupting on the scene, but it turns out Brad Smith was thinking otherwise.
Yeah, well, as I said in qualifying, you know, the wheel-to-wheel contact in these cars is fair brutal, to be honest with you. So I think that was actually probably a prime time example of two cars getting wheel-to-wheel and just basically being pinballed away from each other. Obviously, then wheels spinning at different speeds. Some wheels obviously going backwards into wheels that's trying to go forwards, and you can imagine. So yeah, a very, very difficult scenario there. Luke Weston also seemed to be caught out by it. He's only just pulled out the pits now from his car being repaired. So Brad Smith now on the back of the pack, and I believe, is it race going to be underway this lap? Not quite sure. If it is, you know, Rich is holding this grid up really for quite a while here. So this is looking like, in fact, I think it is. That is race underway, I would have said. Rich Hayden with a stellar start and actually caught Akil out, I would say there. He got caught napping a little bit. Rich has made the breakaway. No, actually, no, cars are still swerving. So actually, that might be a false call there. That might be safety car is still out, my bad.
So the safety car will remain for the moment. And, well, that means that we'll be able to see the cars, I think, hopefully coming all together. Actually, there's a car out on the circuit, and it is Luke Weston all the way at the back. We can just see the margin between the safety car and Luke Weston, who's definitely got a lot to try and catch up, I think, because where is he now? He's just coming into the final chicane now, as Brad Smith is about to exit the pit lane now. So we might not even have all cars coming through. Yeah, Brad Smith came in for repairs, like you mentioned.
Yeah, so this is going to be a tall order for Luke Weston to manage to try and get back round on the back of this pack. I don't know whether that's really going to be achievable. Brad Smith also going to struggle, I think, as well. You know, them drivers will be driving absolutely flat out, but you can see the drivers already at the front of this grid weaving, trying to get any sort of temperature into them tyres. You know, these cars are brilliant on when them tyres are barely cold. We've seen them get fairly airy and, you know, create a good few accidents as well with them really low tyre pressures.
Yeah, so it is going to be about trying to get the car into the right window. You can see Rich Hayden is definitely weaving, trying to get the temperature into them. I don't know if tyre wear is going to factor too much into it, but you can never know how the races will go. Is Rich Hayden going to stamp on the loud pedal now, though, coming out of the final chicane? He looks to take a pretty racy line, and I think he has gotten the race back underway now. So Rich Hayden will lead the field through into the first corner with Akil Alibai very close behind. Look at this, nearly nose to tail coming into the left-hander. Side by side, they'll go into the crucial right-hander, then becomes a left-hander. Oh, and there's contact. Oh, my word. Several cars all involved. Oh, there's a massive pile-up, and I think we've just had one safety car. This could be another.
I think that is without doubt another safety car that will have to be called there. Yeah, Mick Sutton managing just about to find a clean place through that race, and there you saw that was a case of Akil managing to go around the outside of Rich there and just into the left, a slight collision, and then yet again the pinball effect of two guys going wide and then coming back together. And I think it was actually when Akil came back across the track there, managed to catch the back of Rich Hayden's car again. So Rich has gone from being a pole sitter to actually being right at the back of the grid. And look who's that gave the chance. Luke Weston now with a brand new car is back on the back of the grid, ready to give it another go with no damage. So Luke Weston could be the driver to watch come through the pack here. But I tell you what, Taylor O'Flanagan done a fantastic job as well to get himself up into second place on the grid.
Yeah, so Taylor O'Flanagan back through. Is the green flag being waved rather? I think it has.
It has to be, yeah. So
Mick Sutton is up and running ahead of Taylor O'Flanagan. Definite margin there, Mick catching out Taylor on the restart. And well, I spent about 5 minutes of this race under safety car, but hopefully we'll have a bit more of a prolonged green flag run right up until the checkered greets these drivers from the first race of the evening.
Yeah.
Simon Reed there up into.
Oh.
There's always see Akil Alibai, and that's Simon Thorpe just onto the grass, trying to get the car moving. The traction just wasn't there for him though, and I think that was pretty clear that there was going to be a spin happening from Simon, unfortunately.
Yeah, so actually I just caught that Simon coming into shot then. He was already drifting the car coming into shot, just kept running it wide, and then as soon as that back wheel got on the grass there, he was almost done and dusted. But yet again, super consistent finisher we've seen so far. Kenny Press back into P3 yet again.
Cracking stuff from Kenny, isn't it? Just like you say, so consistent, a nice clean driver in the Noddy car, doing a very good job indeed, up ahead of the likes of Akil Alibai, second place starter in this first race, and Brad Smith, who's certainly no slouch either. So what's happened here with Sam Milner? He's trying to find a way back into the pits. Is he after spinning at the final corner? Oh, he gets the car up and running and actually gets out of the way of Simon Thorpe. And we've seen Sam Milner really struggling at that corner. What is it? Do you think that's catching him out? Is it the bumps? Oh no, we were just praising Kenny Prest, and we see him facing the wrong way. Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, so that's actually awarded Akil back into P3 there after an unfortunate collision with Rich Hayden. And yeah, as you say, Kenny Prest just getting a little bit too happy on throttle there. What I imagine that probably was is caught a little bit too much inside curb on that right hander on the first complex. Got a bounce with the car, committed to the throttle, and that's just been enough to spin the back of that car out. So yeah, really unfortunate there by Kenny Prest. Seeing him back down 7th, but he will be thinking reverse grid race. You know, he's got a good chance to press through the grid at the start of that race there. But further up the grid, Mick Sutton managing to sort of a bit of pressure here from Taylor or Flanagan, sitting in 2nd place on the grid. That's going to be a one that I think develops a bit more towards the end of the race. We've seen Mick Sutton get some very good lap times in the ball, but we have seen him struggle, Ed, with tyres towards the end of that race.
Yeah, so is Mick also going to struggle on the tyres this time out at Thruxton as well? Another moment from Simon Thorpe. Again, that final chicane catching out the drivers. And is that just a matter of maybe the bumps, the anti-guts, the yellow sausage curves just upsetting the rhythm? And like you said, the car just pendulum around?
Yeah, sorry, you did ask us about that the previous time, and then we had Simon Thorpe spinning out. Yeah, so through that last chicane, it's probably drivers just trying to find a little bit of that advantage and manage to get the car up the inside a little bit too much. Once the car starts to get a bounce, it's not actually the first bounce that is the initial problem, if you like. The car hits that bounce, then bounces over the track into the second part of the chicane, the right-hander, and some even more severe bounces on the inside of that right-hander. Once you clip them, you start to bounce even more across the track, and you find yourself in the left-hand wall. So that's the big issue, is watch Rich Hayden with a super committed move by Luke Weston there up the inside, so you can see, catch that bounce, and then that there through the right-hander. It's if you misjudge it, run at too much speed into there, and you clip too much of the right-hand bit of the chicane, that's when you really start to unsettle the car. And I think that there is what's really made people get caught out in that last chicane. But a fantastic move there by Luke Weston to get himself ahead of Rich Hayden there, and you saw it was actually the slipstream that really enabled that pass to be possible.
Yeah, it was. So it was a great effort there.
Sorry, past Simon Reed there. Sorry, Rich Hayden and Luke Weston both getting past Simon Reed. Sorry.
That's all right. A great effort from a pair of them. Simon Reed, though, very strange, I think, to see him struggling. Is he just not been gelling with the car at Thruxton, perhaps? Because at other tracks, he's been absolutely electric. One of the top drivers to beat here.
Actually, Tom O'Farrell, our broadcaster, doing a very good job to keep an eye on the footage as well and spot certain things. And we were actually just on board with Simon Reed there, and he spotted that he's got quite significant steering damage. You can see going into right-handers, his wheel is straight, if not turned slightly left. So you can see, even though this is going right here, the steering wheel is actually still pointing slightly left. So actually, Simon Reed's just going to be trying to bring the car home here and make sure he doesn't have any spins. So Simon Reed on a bit of damage limitation there.
Oh dear, that's not what you want to see, but this certainly is. Akil Alibi and Rich Hayden for the second time going side by side through there, but this time there's no safety car on the outcome, but rather Rich Hayden going through into 4th place. As Akil Alibi now has to worry about Luke Weston coming through, and a Luke Weston that might be trying to have a bit of a point to prove, considering he's missed the last 2 rounds left, I think, at the midway point of the season as championship leader. But
He'll get very close to running that out on the grass. And you've probably seen in British touring cars, Ed, you go off onto the grass around that right-hander before church, and it's one of them corners. Well, because it keeps going right, you just end up going further left. And there's a very, very nasty tyre wall out there. But Akil now, look at this, in the slipstream of Luke Weston ahead, up the inside line. He's going to be harder on the brakes. This is going to be determined by Luke Weston round the outside. But is it going to mean he's going to catch too much through there? I believe it wasn't. There's Brad Smith. There's Brad Smith with a spin through the chicane. And it's found Rich Hayden back up into P3 after the disaster of the start.
Yeah, this has been an amazing race going through the field. Let's have a look, see though what Akil Alibi can do. Trying to get back in front of Luke Weston. There doesn't seem to be any routes for him here. And actually now that was such a poor exit, he could be under threat now from Simon Reed. Look at the gap that suddenly opened up between Luke Weston and Akil. Look at how close Simon Reed is, but Simon, with that damage, can't do anything to close things. This must be bitterly disappointing for the championship leader that knows that he's quicker, but just can't do anything about it on account of the damage.
Yeah, so I think this is probably just going to be a case of Simon knows he's going to have the speed down the straight, but I'll be surprised if he goes to remove it. Just maybe not worth the gamble in the championship position he's in, where he knows good few points here. You know, he's sitting in 6th place at the moment on the grid. That'll be more than enough to bring home some good points for his championship and keep that good advantage going. If he crashes and put this in the wall and gets a DNF, as we see Taylor O'Flanagan in the wall, this Thruxton round is causing absolute havoc here with inconsistencies, and through that last chicane, he's found himself in the left-hand wall like we were describing before, Ed.
Yeah, just caught a little bit out. It's so easily done though, isn't it, to find yourself in that wall? It's very, very enticing, I think, just from the nature of the corner as well, and how the cars handle the bumps, handle the loss of traction as well. As Simon Reed now could be under pressure from Taylor O'Flanagan, who's going to be looking to try and get something big out of this, or something back out of this, as we come into the final 6.5 minutes of the first 20-minute race here. And it's a race that's Mick Sutton has largely, well, had an iron grip on since the restart. Look at him up in front. Easy street, it seems, for Sutton, as Rich Hayden is down back by 9 seconds.
Yeah, so just looking at this at the moment, Luke Weston is actually not too far off the back of Rich Hayden. You're not quite close enough to have that slipstream advantage there. But yeah, as you said, Mick Sutton just keeping his nose clean at the moment. Is plenty up the road. Oh, well, Luke Weston. Oh, there's Rich Hayden. Rich Hayden with a spin through the last chicane has found the right-hand wall. A nice roll backwards into I believe that was Akil. And look, the grid with a complete reshuffle yet again. Oh, hopefully there's some safe rejoins here. Actually, both cars making almost a bridge for cars to go through. Sam Milner's found his way up into 7th place. I tell you what, this is going to cause havoc for the reverse grid race.
Oh my word, this certainly is. It's going to be a very mixed and jumbled up second race. But that has, of course, helped out Simon Reed to no end. He's been able to gain 2 positions, essentially for free now, as all of that drama happened ahead of him. Taylor Flanagan finds himself back up into the podium places as well. And Luke Weston, I'm not sure if after the first few laps he would have been expecting a 2nd place finish, but that's certainly what he is on track for at the moment, and also on a very good turn of pace as he's riding on purple in the middle sector. So Luke Weston definitely one of the quickest people out on the circuit, as we see Brad Smith going for a move on Simon Reed side by side, and it's a relatively easy overtake there from Brad Smith, as you could expect. Simon Reed wouldn't really be trying to fight it with a damaged car, but there's contact. Oh, Simon Reed, is that just the nature of his car being a little bit difficult to handle maybe on the brakes?
Did you see that there? Just sorry to cut you off there, Ed.
Yeah.
But but Kenny Press doing very, very well indeed to look forward there. Notice Simon Reed rejoined the track, just back right out of it. Kenny Press is probably looking at this thing, and actually there's a possibility for another really good consistent finish. Even after his spin, is he going to try and go around the outside? Oh, he looked a little bit hesitant there on whether or not to commit to the move there. Taylor O'Flanagan, even though he's disaster off into the wall there through the chicane, has found his way back up onto the podium. So obviously his car mustn't be that badly damaged there.
No, it doesn't seem to be that horrendously damaged, but still it's obviously a difficult thing to control and look after when you've got any sort of damage done on these steering damage like we've been seeing with Simon Reed's car. Kenny Press, look at this, trying to go now around the outside and use that overspeed to great advantage in the fight against Simon Reed up into 5th place. Kenny Press will have his nose in front, and again Simon Reed dropping in behind. I don't think he's likely to fight this. Okay, that was just try and bag some good points and focus 100% on the next race that will be coming up after these 3 minutes have been run. It's going to be 3 minutes for Mick Sutton to, I think, really savour, I think is the right word, up in front, because he's had, I think, a stressful start, but from then on out it's been looking nice and clean for him. As actually, Simon Reed is actually looking to try and fight back. I thought with the damage he'd be resigning himself maybe down to 6th place and hope for a good reverse grid race, but no, he's really going for it, isn't he, Dave?
He is indeed, and actually I think it's probably just a case of keeping consistent pressure on the back of Kenny Press there, not necessarily looking to put his nose up the inside of Kenny going into any of these corners, but he's probably thinking if I just keep constant pressure and do them lap times by using that bit of slipstream. Oh, as he came very close to running off on the grass there. He doesn't want to be doing that too regularly. But yeah, as I say, Simon Reed up into 6th place at the moment here, and yeah, a bit of pressure on the back of Kenny Press might see him make a mistake like he did earlier on in the race.
Yeah, he could do, but it's all about just trying to pile the pressure on and see if the mistakes are forthcoming. You know that Simon Reed is very good at doing exactly that. As he gets a good run, and that could be that mistake that we were talking about now, as Kenny Press just a little bit too hot into the corner, gets a very poor line, a poor exit, and Simon Reed finds himself up into 5th position, but there's still a little while left to go, and Kenny Press with the overspeed back now is looking to try and force his way through, try and find those gaps. Side by side they go into left and right handers, and I think Kenny concedes the place there and drops in behind Simon Reed, and instead looks to get a nice amount of slipstream all the way along this flat up section before coming into that final chicane.
Yeah, that was some great driving, great racing, respect between them two drivers there, just weighing up where each of them were going to have to cut back in. But as you can see, I think Simon's Reed damage is really hindering a bit of that straight line performance. You can see Kenny Press has come back from probably about 10 car lengths there, and look at this, he's all over the back of Simon Reed. He's got no top end speed on that car at all, and Kenny Press has quite simply just drove past. And I tell you what, if these battle for much longer like this, Sam Milner is not too far off the back of these at all.
Absolutely, and again another sort of, I guess, a poorer line from Kenny Press, but there's contact. Is there, or is he just spinning it around
just a spin
on the exit? Just too much throttle perhaps, and he's looped it around. Nothing's showing up for contact. So right at the end, we have started the final lap of the race, mind you. Mick Sutton able to greet the white flag, and will soon greet the checkered. But that's really helped out Simon Reed. That little mistake from the Noddy car has got him nodding along with quite an enjoyment to himself, I think, with Simon Reed there. But Mick Sutton, what a race from him. He's going to be grinning ear to ear after that race, because he's had a relatively easy time of things for these final 15 minutes.
Yeah, he has indeed, actually. And you know what? Don't want to be cursing the commentator, but it's looking at the moment like he's going to bring this home. He just needs to be really nice and safe through this last chicane here. Actually, I'll probably say he took a little bit faster than he maybe needed to there, but there it is. He's brought it home and across the line. Mick Sutton, your race one winner there, from P3 on the grid. Just shows qualifying wasn't everything there. 2 safety cars and all that drama, and we've finally got a podium that, you know, who would have thought that was going to be the podium after that race starting?
Yeah, that was certainly a interesting race, to say the least. That was very, very hectic. 2 safety cars having to be called, but it will be a race that sees Mick Sutton take the victory in the end. Very hard fought for himself ahead of Luke Weston in second, and Taylor Flanagan, a very yo-yo-y race. He's been up and down and up and down and up and down, and finally finishes up there in third position on the podium. So a cracking effort from Taylor there.
Yeah, it was indeed. And as he said, Luke Weston, with the damage he sustained on lap 1, managing to catch back up to the grid and bring it home in P2 on the grid. Fantastic drive there. But for me, Mick Sutton, what a calculated drive, just working out how hard to push and when to push. You know, granted, some of it comes down to luck of, you know, which car's going to collect you and which not. But it seemed like to me there, Mick Sutton was really calculated in just hanging back and letting things develop up in front. And that's what's allowed him just to really pull away and get a good race win under his belt.
Yeah, so cracking effort that from Mick Sutton, who after a very dramatic first race actually now joins us in the coach trucks along with Luke Weston, and let's have a look who else is coming. Taylor O'Flanagan. So Dave, I'll let you do the honours of talking to our third place finisher first.
Yeah, so as you said, we'll go down to our P3 finisher. It was looking good for a possible second place, but as it caught out many people there, Taylor, just a really unfortunate run through that chicane and found himself in that wall.
Yeah, I was really struggling with it the whole race, to be honest. But yeah, managed to get through in the end. And after my crash, the waters parted for me again on the next lap, and 2 guys ahead of me had a crash, so I managed to somehow get back onto the podium.
Yeah, and I take it the wall, did you hit it particularly hard? Was there any damage sustained to the car, or was it just a bit of cosmetic and a bit of ego, and you managed to get it back going and bring it home in the podium?
I think, fortunately, I just kind of nudged the nose, and it didn't feel massively different on the laps after that. So, fortunately, I think I got off pretty lightly there.
And regarding the race, you know, you put a good 20 minutes there in the race, hopefully trying to find some sort of consistency through that chicane. But is it a case of when it's just you starting to push the limits and try and find that pace around this track, is that when it bites you, or is there not really a consistency there?
No, it definitely is. When you try and brake a little bit too late or try and get a little bit more speed through that chicane, it bites you very quickly.
Well, a lesson learnt there then, Taylor, going forward into race 2. But huge congratulations in race 1 to manage to bring yourself back up into the podium positions, and look forward to see how you manage to get on in race 2.
Thank you.
Moving to our P2 finisher, Luke Weston. I mean, it was not at all the start that you needed there. Find yourself in the wall and managing to go back to the pits and repair the car. But I tell you what, I bet you didn't think you were going to finish P2 in it.
Yeah, I'm not sure quite what just happened. The first lap wasn't ideal for me. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I found myself stuck in the wall. So I had to check with Rich. It was all right to go back to the pits. I had to sit there for 30 seconds with my controls locked, but then I got going and couldn't quite catch the safety car queue. But all the shunts in front of me and a couple of decent overtakes, and I managed to find myself back in P2.
Yeah, I mean, impressive pace with that as well. You know, you managed to really make some headway through the pack. I mean, you must be thinking now race 2, you know, as long as you've got a little bit of patience there, everything can happen regarding the grid, and you've got the pace to help pull yourself through as well. So it's looking like it could be a good race 2 for you as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping to just be patient, get in the slipstream and see how many I can pick off.
Well, huge congratulations, Luke, on managed to be a fantastic recovery there, and looking forward to seeing how you get on in race 2.
Thank you very much.
I'll move forward on our P1 finisher, Mick Sutton. It was all about patience, wasn't it, really? I mean, you didn't do that much off the start, just let things develop in front, and you managed to find the gap.
Yeah, there's a bit of luck played its part in that one, Dave. Yeah, I mean, after the first safety car, I found myself in front. I managed to avoid Akil and Rich coming together. I don't know how I did, but I did. That put me in front, and then the second safety car, all I was concentrating on was trying to break the toe in that second lap after the second safety car. And luckily I managed to break that gap between me and Taylor. And that was it, really. Then I just took my time, to be honest, and kept it on the tarmac.
Yeah, I mean, really quickly, I mean, you say it was all a bit about luck, but let's face it, you know, you managed to do 20 minutes of consistent laps where, you know, where that chicane tricked out a lot of people. You just seem to have the trick of getting through there clean each lap and bring home some good consistent lap times.
I was lucky in the majority of the race not to have the pressure from behind, so I could pick my line through there, you know, and then try and make it up around the rest of the track. And then when I saw Taylor, obviously he'd had a problem and he dropped back by about 8 seconds, I just took my foot off it. And that was that then, just cruise it to the end, really.
Well, you've got a minute before the start of the race, so huge congratulations, Mick. I'll let you get your head down and let's see how you manage to battle your way through from the back.
I think this one will be another story, but here we go. Thanks again.
Speed a bit, Mick.
So that was all of the post-race interviews from the first race conducted by Dave Marshall, and now we've got the second race to look forward to here. Exciting prospect, of course. Simon Thorpe on pole position again. Akil Alibi on the front row on the second place spot. What will it be as the clock will tick down just a few moments ago until this second race is underway here, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, for me, you've got to look at that front row and think there's some serious contenders on the front there that can maybe use the start and really help pull away.
So the lights come on, and for the second time this evening we are racing at Thruxton in the VRRC Academy Formula 4 race series, and it is close again at the front. Akil Alibi and Simon Thorpe coming to blows actually on the exit of the first corner as Simon Reed and Sam Milner make it too wide for third place, and there's 3 cars going into one, and that does never ever work. And that could be another safety car potentially. Or I think they all get up and running again relatively quickly, so he might have evaded that.
Yeah, I think we might have just managed to evade a safety car there. Obviously, that was a little bit out of shot and a bit blind for us, but Mick Sutton and Luke Weston, both drivers from right back in the grid, obviously managing to take advantage of a few drivers having a bit of a spin there. I think Taylor O'Flanagan seemed to be the driver that really lost out there, going backwards off into turn 1, but no damage, I believe, just a little bit backwards in the grass. But you can see the commitment of these drivers. Luke Weston through Church completely flat, inches off the back of Kenny Press's bumper, but you can see he's got the slipstream, and then he pulls out of the slipstream and he's sort of back in equilibrium again. He's matching the driver's speed in front, and I don't know how there that seemed to be 2 by 2, and then just last second the drivers all went into single file through the chicane. But I tell you what, Mick Sutton got the run there. He's up the side of the inside of Kenny Press. That was incredibly tight, but good commitment and good respect there by Mick Sutton. But Kenny Press seemed to have the advantage in speed through there. Mick Sutton getting very straight on the brakes there, almost getting caught up by the back of Kenny's car again. But Simon Thorpe doing a great job at the moment to be holding on to P2.
Yeah, this is a brilliant little battle here, but will he hold on for much longer as Luke Weston is coming through and back up into second place? Luke Weston goes now. He got P2 last time out. Can he get P1 this time through in the final race of the night? You can see Mick Sutton making progress through the field, already up into 5th position. And trying to find a way through on Kenny Press. Is he going to try and make a dive to the inside? He is getting closer and closer and closer, but not enough to properly go for it. Feigns to the left, actually, then goes to the right. But then that's well wonderfully covered off, isn't it? By Kenny Press, who's able to hold on to 4th for the time being. And is Rich Hayden actually going to go for a move and line something up? They're going side by side as Kenny Press has had a moment.
Oh, that is so unfortunate for Kenny there. Unfortunately, he's found himself in the same pit wall as race 1. It seems to be that second half of that chicane he's just getting caught out on. But this is a brilliant battle between Rich Hayden here and Mick Sutton. Mick Sutton opening that corner up there. And look who's behind Ali by there is right tucked in behind Mick Sutton. All these three drivers getting some great slipstream here, as you can see, just starting again back up on the back of Mick Sutton, and there's a change in the lead. Luke Weston getting up there inside of Simon Reed here. Simon Reed now in the slipstream. This might be an opportunity for Simon Reed to actually get back through though on Luke Weston if he can time this slipstream correctly.
Yeah, that's a big if, isn't it? If you can do this, if you can do that. Mick Sutton is a very hard charger, and he's up now just ahead. But look at the twitch he gets. So shaky there, but he's able to keep it going.
And Simon Reed's got back up
actually,
past Luke Weston. So that slipstream effect there doing exactly what we thought it might do. Oh my word, and Mick Sutton has found himself in the wall. I don't know what's happened there, but obviously there's Rich Hayden as well. So that's huge drama that's happened with 16 minutes left. And there's Sam Milner. I could be wrong, but I think that's probably an unrelated issue there, but also happening in the chicane. Mick Sutton's managed to get himself going there, and luckily managed to get the car out of that barrier scenario. But Simon Reed up in front must have calculated that absolutely perfectly to find himself getting through and using that slipstream to get back past Luke Weston. And I tell you what a drive this is at the moment by Simon Thorpe, currently sitting in P3.
Oh no, and something's happened to Sam Milner there coming into the S's here. And oh dear, he's right the way down at the back now, unfortunately, as a result.
I imagine his back tyres, Ed, will be completely cooked.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's so easy done. I think you need to just drive the next lap about, well, 70% or so, just to get those tyres back down to temperature, so they're not going to slide you around even more, because it becomes a vicious cycle, doesn't it, Dave? As soon as you get hot tyres, you're more likely to spin. That heats the tyres up even more, and it's just a nasty situation to be a part of. As Simon Thorpe is trying to close into this fight, maybe with Simon Reed and Luke Weston. As long as these front lot keep battling, they'll hold each other up and keep allowing more and more drivers to get into the mix. As Akil Alibi as well, don't count him out. He has been showing some very good pace that last time by as well. However, fastest lap of the race is currently firmly in the hands of Simon Reed with a 1 minute 14.296, which he'd just actually done on that last lap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to curse anything, but at the moment, Simon Thorpe is the driver that is really impressing me. The progress he has made in this race alone. Looking at his lap times, his last lap time of 14.7, Akil behind actually on a 1:15. So Simon Thorpe, what a drive this is by him at the moment. Unfortunately, you know, he's one of the drivers that is running further back normally in the grid, but this really shows the standard of driving he can actually do. Phenomenal display at the moment, and actually with these two battling up ahead, he is right there with it, Ed.
Oh yeah, he certainly is. Yeah, I was touching on that Simon Thorpe could close in if these front two battle. And what have the front two done? They've battled, and what has Simon Thorpe done? He's closed right back up. So now we're going to have a three-way fight. Could be a four if all of them start battling, and all of a sudden Akil begins to get into the mix. But oh, Simon Thorpe very, very wide in the background. Is he off the grass?
Oh,
yes,
he's on the grass.
And oh my word, he's looping it all the way around. Akil now promoted up into third. It's another spin in the background, this time for Rich Hayden. So Rich finding the track to be very tricky, as well as Simon Reed and Luke Weston go side by side. This is the first time we've seen them go side by side this race, and it won't be the last, I am sure of it, because the inside line is going to favour Simon Reed, but the speed, the run is working there for Luke Weston, but I think he's just having to back out a little bit, then get the slipstream once more. He's closing in for the all-important overtaking opportunity. Simon Thorpe is just moving everywhere to try and close it off, but that was a little bit too late, I think, from Simon Reed rather. How on earth, though, has Simon been able to stay in control of his car? Because that was like a massive touch to the rear that would have sent him around. Oh my dear Lord, I need to have a breath, I think. I'll let you cover for this for a minute, Dave, because they're not slowing down.
This is some fantastic action here, showing exactly how to race open wheel to wheel, quite literally. You know, both drivers using the slipstream, using the advantage in different places on the track, both lapping very, very similar lap times indeed here. Simon Thorpe's going to find himself back in the slipstream yet again, and Simon Thorpe yet again found himself in that pit wall. It's that case of once these tyres just start to go over that limit, it is that hard to get them tyres back into that brilliant operating window that they have. Once they go off that, it's like driving on ice. But you can see here, Simon Reed, I don't think he's quite close enough, you know, Ed, this time to get in that slipstream and give himself an opportunity to put it up the inside, go to the last chicane. No, he isn't. I reckon it had to be within 3 to 4 cars. So Luke Weston has the opportunity this lap to put that, break that toe and start to pull away from Simon Reed.
As he say, he has the opportunity to try and break that toe, but I don't think that's coming through.
No, he's
Simon Reed
just about there now.
is right up there, yeah, closing in every single meter that goes by on as soon as they're on the full sections. It really does. Obviously, we'll go into the favour of Surrey, but oh my word, big moment on the brakes. The car just pendulums around, swaps ends. That promotes Akil Alibai into second.
Yeah, a very, very rare mistake there by Simon Reed. Just a little lock-up mid-corner, which was quite bizarre. So it tells me he's maybe trailing that braking quite hard there. And yeah, maybe that was a little bit of a case of loss of aero with the car in front as well. You've got to remember these cars have got front and rear wings. And maybe it was just a bit of a case of Luke Weston's car was that close that just really resting on that aero, resting on the tyres round that right-hander in the first complex, just had a bit of aero wash, and it just wasn't enough to push the back of that car down and just span the back of the car out.
Yeah, it was obviously unfortunate, but it's very tricky, I think, for the drivers, especially on a circuit as demanding as Thruxton, that needs your full attention at basically every single moment. You might say, oh, you're flat out for most of that, you don't need to think, but you really do. You need to be on the very top, and sometimes if you have that little lapse that might have come through from Simon Reed, well, that's what happens. You can have the car try and swap ends on. You did very well, though, to make sure it wasn't as bad as it could have been if he looped it all the way around. That would have been very nasty. His tyres would have been used even more. But again, coming into that corner, it seems to be a problem from Simon Reed. He just can't find a way through. He's really struggling. The car wants to swap ends. Is it maybe an issue of brake balance, perhaps, Dave? Does he need to shift the brake bias a bit further forwards?
So it maybe was a case of a brake bias issue earlier on in this race, maybe. And what that's maybe done is it's just helped cook that back left tyre. And unfortunately, towards the end of this race, with that back tyre starting to get cooked, he just can't rest on it at all. But he's obviously still running at a good enough pace to try and hold on to his podium position. He's in a position where, you know, that back tyre isn't getting the rest that it needs to get the grip back. So he's actually just having to gamble a bit with that oversteer and hopefully just keep it under control to keep a hold of this podium position.
Yeah, so try to keep a hold. That will be what Simon Reed's going to have to do, because Brad Smith, like we can see, is trying to close in and find his way through, getting the gap now to just about underneath 1 second, as Brad Smith is setting close to the best of the race so far for himself. Not the fastest time out and out, but definitely his fastest lap of the race. So keep your eyes open for what Brad Smith can muster in these final moments. It feels, though, like this race has had a lot more action in it. It's had nearly an entire race's worth of action, but we've still got 8 minutes to go. So we're going to find another battle here. This is actually between Kenny Press, who's just gotten ahead, I think, of Taylor Flanagan.
Yeah, so Kenny Press yet again doing a fantastic job, just working his way through the grid. We saw Taylor O'Flanagan having that huge spin, and actually I can see from eyesight there his steering isn't central either, so that's a bit of a disaster in Taylor's car at the moment, and that will not be an easy car to drive there at all, trying to guess any sort of oversteer and how much correction to add there. I'm really struggling here, Ed, to actually pick a driver that's, you know, possible driver of the day contention other than Luke Weston, really. All other drivers having little hiccups here and there, but Luke Weston, you know, he had that collision early on in race 1, managed to have the fight back, brought it up in podium position, and he's there in first place. You know, it's not all about the speed, but for consistency and keeping it on track, you can't deny Luke's done exactly what he needed to do.
Yeah, Luke has done a very good job, and as well, I think I'm probably in the same opinion of you, Dave, that Luke Weston is definitely one of the big contenders and probably will be taking the driver of the round on us. But a good shout has to be made for Akil Alibai, because his efforts in qualifying were very, very good, and they're a testament to how much he's improved over the course of the season. Of course, that first race could have gone a little bit better for himself, but the second race, he's proving to be a little bit more consistent, a little bit more stable, and showing that he's developing as a driver, which is what this Academy Series is designed for.
Exactly that. So yes, Akil is also a driver that's proven himself there. Just calculate the where to put the car, exactly how hard to push it as well, and has managed to get past Simon Reed up into P2. And to be fair, Luke Weston isn't actually pulling away that quickly at all from Akil. Actually, Luke Weston last lap a 1:15.19, Akil a 1:14.8. So actually, yeah, nearly 4/10 faster that last lap Akil than Luke Weston. But I think that's probably Luke Weston just backing the pace off a little bit and trying to look after them tyres.
Yes, so it's going to be basically down, I think, to these next moments of the race. If Luke Weston is able to stay through and be consistent and win the race, it's likely that he will obviously take driver of the round. But it is easy just to have these little mistakes like we've seen from Simon Reed, one of the most consistent drivers, is still not immune to having a few slip-ups here and there. Brad Smith, what can he do to close in? The gap has just gradually, I think, been coming down between Reed and Smith. So the eyes are going to shift to this. I think these are the closest two cars out on the circuit. It's just not really coming through for Brad Smith at the moment. There's a big moment there. And is that the car around? Yes, it is. Simon Reed. Mistake. We said he's been prone to these mistakes, which is very uncharacteristic for him. But there's another one there coming through the chicane. You could see on the turn in that the rear was trying to break traction as he corrected to try and get it through the left. That was when the rear fully broke and sent him around.
Yeah, so Simon Reed having a really difficult time here regarding keeping the balance of that car. Really struggling, and hopefully managed to actually bring it home at all, because the way that car's driving at the moment, he's dropping right back on the grid. This is Sam Milner battling with Taylor O'Flanagan here, both drivers with probably quite significant damage, but you can see Taylor's front wing damage there really hindering him in the straight line performance there. Sam Milner managed to get past relatively easy there as well. So Sam Milner super controlled on the brakes into here. See, the bit that's making the car quite unsettled there is you can see how much steering input he had still going through the chicane into the right-hander. He needs to try and get the car pointed more and get that steering straight on entry into that chicane, and that'll make the car a lot more stable.
Yeah, so good little bit of information, good little bit of know-how on how to sort of get that car to be nice and stable, which is, I think, paramount for the drivers here, because the rear has been so eager to break traction on everyone here this evening, no matter if they're the fastest or one of the drivers that tends to fight around in the lower half or in the mid pack. Everyone has been falling foul of it here at Thruxton. 3 minutes to go though in this final race of the evening, and it is Luke Weston leading the field by almost 5 seconds actually to Akil Alibai. Again, lap times very similar between the front two, aren't they? Both in the 14.9s. And they're actually a lot faster than I think everyone else out on the circuit. The only drivers in the 14s at the moment, and they're both first and second.
Yeah, they are indeed, and I'm just looking at this at the moment. Luke Weston, I think, is just controlling the race at the moment, doing exactly what he needs to do to keep them lap times ahead. Akil doing exactly what he needs to do to keep up with Luke, but not really managing to close the gaps. And with less than 3 minutes left of this race, it's looking quite difficult for Akil to close that gap onto the race leader at the moment, Luke Weston.
Yeah, so like you say, Luke Weston still leading, doing a very good job I'm amazed though that he's able to keep the car looking nice and steady, because the tyres must be really starting to struggle. It's a very high speed circuit, and while there aren't that many corners, you are flat out and going through these long sweeping right-handers. That must bear some sort of wear onto the tyres here, and might mean that it's still its own sort of unique, tricky way to manage the tyre wear, perhaps, Dave.
Yeah, I'm just noticing here, actually looking at sector 1, just when we were saying Akil's not really putting a push on, second fastest sector one time out of anyone at the moment, and a 10th faster in sector 2 than Luke Weston. So actually he's on for a very good lap here, and a last minute charge, but I don't think it's quite enough. It's nearly a 5-second gap to Luke Weston in front, so Akil's going to have to hope for, well, some not very good news from Luke Weston here. Akil really pushing it hard towards the end of this race here, and is it going to be good enough for a fastest lap? It's a 14.5, so it isn't. It's 2/10 still off what Luke Weston has done, and actually Simon Reed still has the lead for the fastest lap time there at a 14.2. So yeah, I mean, Thruxton really has proved in this car alone, and it's the car destroyer.
Yeah, it really is. It's certainly been proving a very difficult track to get to grips with. Much harder, I think, in these Formula 4s than it was in the MX5s. I wonder what the ODTTs will be making of this next season with the push to pass at Thruxton. That is going to be really intriguing.
That is going to be a mega series with the push to pass round Thruxton, with the straight big enough that you can actually use it. It's going to be all about strategy. And I tell you what, the TT as well, front wheel drive, a little bit more forgiving on these drivers if it gets wrong, because they can just keep that foot in. But as we see, Luke Weston, the way he's driven, fair play Luke, you know, come through the grid, a controlled race too, driver of the day, I think is well deserved there, Ed. Brought it home in the lead. But I tell you what, fair play Akil as well. A good solid result in P2 there. He gave it a push on tyres there when they were fair worn, and Brad Smith doing enough there to keep himself out of damage and bring him on in P3. Simon Reed wraps it up in P4 there. I mean, I'd be really interested to know from Simon Reed what was actually wrong with his car there, whether it was just the balance of the tyres, and Mick Sutton managing to bring it home in P5. Not quite the same result as race 1, but he still brought home a fantastic finish here this weekend.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my brains as well if there was, like you say, a bit of damage perhaps on Simon Reed's car, maybe a bit onto the rear, because the car was looking very loose.
Yeah,
indeed, which could be a matter of just the tyres getting overcooked, maybe something. We can't see anything in terms of damage at the rear, so maybe it was, like you mentioned, just a matter of brake bias at the earlier point, and that meant he couldn't lean on the tyres towards the end. But what a race that was. This Thruxton circuit just really always has provided us with excellent racing here on VRRC, and this has been no different in the Formula 4s. And all the drivers here have come into commentary box to have a chat with Dave Marshall.
We have indeed. Now, as we can see, Brad Smith enjoying a little bit of donuts there, and I believe actually has managed to puncture his back left tyre there, I think. So fair play Brad Smith for doing that. I haven't seen that on stream before. Not the easiest round Thruxton proved to be, and quite a significant amount of damage to a lot of cars, but you're doing enough in race 2 there to bring it home in a podium position.
Yeah, I actually had damage on my front wing from that first little collision on the second corner. So I don't.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that I actually kept up and managed to keep it in third.
Yeah, I mean, I take it any sort of aero damage on a track like this, it really hinders you, doesn't it, down the straights?
Makes a huge difference. I mean, I was only losing 2 miles an hour, but if that's someone behind me, that's like 5-6 miles an hour. I got the toe on me, so yeah, it's a massive difference.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a night to watch in different strategies and the slipstream effect. But as you say, 2 miles an hour doesn't sound like a lot, but when you play slipstream into the effect as well, was the aero noticeable as well around any of the corners with the balance of the car, or did it make it actually a little bit more forgiving with it being slightly more understeer biased?
Yeah, the chicane, I I was just taking mega careful. I don't know if you saw one lap, I was completely sideways around there. So
as did most people, Brad.
Well, yeah. I kept it on track and kept it in third, but it was a close moment, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep it steady. I had a big enough gap behind me. I thought, let's just bring it home third. Don't even push, just bring it home.
Well, I know it's not relating necessarily to this championship, but just a quick word. You know, you've got to remember you're going to be coming here in the Audi TTs. You haven't driven the TTs yet, but front-wheel drive, nearly 300 horsepower, and a push-to-pass feature which gives you an extra 50 horsepower boost. I take it you're thinking that car around this track is a recipe for some great racing.
It certainly is, and I don't want to jinx myself, but front-wheel drive cars are normally my forte, so fingers crossed I'll be a bit better than these rear-wheel drive cars.
Well, looking forward to seeing it, Brad. Huge congrats bringing it home in a P3, and looking forward to seeing how you get in the TT, but also the next round out at the infamous Cadwell Park.
Lovely, thank you very much.
I will move forward onto Akil. Akil, do you have your mic on mute? Can we hear you?
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, I mean, your first, I think it's your first P2 position here with VRRC. A really difficult race one, but a really impressive qualifying there, showing you have some serious pace in this car, and it's nice to be rewarded with that, with a great result there in race 2 as well.
Yeah, in qualifying, very good qualifying P2. Unfortunately, in race 1 after the safety car, I had a bit of a collision, and then yeah, just had to fight my way back to 4th, and then unfortunately I had a crash again, and then that put me right down to the bottom in 8th position with quite a bit of damage. And then race 2 started in P2. First corner we lost loads of places, falling back to 7th, and then fortunately we fought back to 2nd again and tried to catch 1st, but obviously in Thruxton with no slip it's really difficult, so I mean, good result.
Yeah, fantastic effort there, Akil. And I take it as well, you probably noticed the tyre's probably the most unforgiving car you've ever driven. We obviously know you do Genettas in real life, but you know, you slide in these F4s on this game and them tyres are just completely done, and you can't really bring them back in that window, can you?
Yes, as you go on in the race it's so difficult. I mean, the last few minutes of the race is just trying to bring the car home, because in a lot of the corners that are high speed or where you need to go in quite a bit of speed, it's just slides everywhere. So I mean, the last few laps is really difficult, but yeah.
Well, huge congratulations, Akil. As I said, a great demonstration showing how much pace you do actually have in this car, and looking forward to seeing how you manage to tame it going forward into Cadwell Park.
Thanks.
Spot on, Akil. And we'll move forward on our P1 finisher, Luke Weston, Driver of the Day award as well, for the way you managed to actually hold your own and bring the car home in one piece. I mean, that wasn't an easy race, was it?
No, far from easy. Simon was making it difficult for me at the start there, and I have nothing but respect for him. It was clean racing. I really enjoyed it, but unfortunately, I think he locked the rears and just went round going into the first complex. But yeah, it was a fun race, but very tough. Yeah,
he seemed to be finding the balance of the car very, very hard there towards the end. I don't know whether it was a case of a bit of aero wash. I was going to ask you. I was going to ask Simon if I'm honest, but I'll ask you instead, seeing as how you seem to have the balance of the car. Did you notice any form of like aero wash or a loss of downforce when following cars too closely through the corners, or is it a relatively balanced car even if you're following that close?
Yes, it is relatively balanced, but then when you're following quite closely, like I was with Simon in parts of the first half, going through especially the first complex, I noticed it was properly washing out with the aero wash and giving you a lot of understeer. So,
well, I'll ask the same question that I also said to Brad. Yes, we've got Cadwell Park next, but we've also got the Audi TTs coming up, and you must be thinking front-wheel drive when you come to Thruxton with that push-to-pass feature, the extra power, the slipstream, and these straights. That is a recipe for some fantastic racing.
Yeah, it's going to be great racing. I think the push-to-pass is going to be key to use it in the right place and figure out where the other guys are using it most. And when you get it sussed, I imagine it's going to be proper good racing.
Yeah, well, it's a whole different strategy of racing, very, very similar LMP. But as I said, huge congratulations on tonight's performance, Luke. Congratulations on also taking Driver of the Day award there. So looking forward to seeing how you get on at Cadwell Park and seeing whether you do as such a dominant performance.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So all the drivers there coming in and out of the commentary box here on VRRC. You can see the scores, the provisional point standings as the championship comes into the final round at Cadwell Park in a week's time. But tomorrow, Dave, I believe we have a championship getting underway as well.
Yeah, we do indeed. So it's the first round of the mini JCW at Hockenheim Ring Short, actually. So it's not the long track, it's the little twisty track, but the little minis. But I say the little minis, 280 horsepower, full sequential gearbox. They're a bit of a handful, if I'm honest. So a very, very good entry list as well, with a lot of the real world drivers deciding to enter in this category as well. So it's definitely going to be a one to tune in from 7:15 tomorrow night on our usual VRRC platforms of Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, yourself and Jack Oliphant, I believe, in the commentary box for that one, and I'll be certainly tuning in to watch all of the action there at the Hockenheim Ring. But as well, make sure, if you haven't already, subscribed to the VRRC YouTube channel, follow all of our socials, and make sure you're tuned in on the 30th of August at Cadwell Park for the final round of the Formula 4 Academy Series in VRRC, where we will crown a champion, whoever that may be. It's looking like it is likely to be Simon Reed, but of course we know how quickly things can and do often change in this series, don't we, Dave?
We do indeed. So we'll see how Simon gets on. But as you said, Cadwell Park's a bit infamous with also having a fair bit of action. So let's see how the drivers get on.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for joining us here this evening. It's been a wonderful evening's racing at Thruxton. I've been Ed May. Dave Marshall has joined me in the commentary box, and of course, wonderful Tom O'Farrell on the cameras for us this evening. All that's left for me is to say a goodbye, take care, and stay safe, and we'll see you all next time.
Between the two of them, the inside of Coates, Parker gets too heavily involved, and that's Whitehead and Coates.